Big news today, of course, is the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending world champions, swinging a deal to acquire five-time Pro Bowl wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who they talked to in 2023 when he was a free agent, didn't get a deal done. He got a deal done with Tennessee, but today Tennessee trades D-Hop to Kansas City in return for a conditional fifth-round pick that could become a fourth-round pick if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl and Hopkins plays in 60% of the plays this year. The Chiefs had lost Hollywood Brown to a shoulder injury, Rashee Rice to a knee injury, Juju Smith-Schuster to a hamstring injury, recognized they needed more help, and they found it today in the form of the five-time Pro Bowl wide receiver.
It's going to be fun to see him in that offense. We were just saying yesterday on NFL Live that they need to go add somebody, and that's what they do. Here's Patrick Mahomes when he was asked about getting new additions to the team and getting them up to speed.
I think the biggest thing for me is just whenever a new guy gets into the building, is just getting on that same page as quickly as possible. Even with guys like Kareem in the running back position, just being able to talk with him throughout the protection calls, talk with him kind of throughout the plays, making sure he knows what his job is to do, and then letting him go out and execute it. And I've dealt with that throughout my entire career, bringing new guys in. That's part of the NFL.
Mahomes is 6-0 for the first time in his career, but his numbers in those 6 games have not been up to what we expect out of Mahomes. 8 interceptions, that's tied for the most in the NFL, and it's the first time in his career that he's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns in his first 6 games. He also has his fewest pass yards and worst QBR to begin a season in his career. You see those numbers, you're like, man, how are they 6-0? Well, the defense has played really well, but let's go to the offense. J-Mac, does D-Hop give Mahomes enough help to elevate this Chiefs offense?
Enough is a great question. I think he's a really good addition, and he's an upgrade at that wide receiver spot for them. You look at DeAndre Hopkins, and never at a point in his career was he a speed guy. Right. He was the guy that won with contested catches, and then his ability to get open. You see right here the feel for space within zone when they're trying to defend against Patrick Mahomes. He's going to see this. Hopkins knows exactly where those soft spots are and knows how to set up. You just give him opportunities. I remember playing against this guy his rookie year, and I hate to say it, he caught a game-winning touchdown against me in overtime, and I was all over him. He makes those type of catches. And this is the attention to detail against zone. Takes this route all the way inside, touches the hash before he brings it out to create that space for the quarterback to be able to drop the ball in there. So I look at that. He'll be a type of guy that those third down opportunities, critical points in the game, somebody that Mahomes can trust, he's going to be exactly where he's supposed to be, and he's going to catch the football.
The clips, so that first clip when you're talking about space, this offense really in Kansas City is about yak. They're not a, chuck it downfield offense. They'll take a shot to Xavier here and there. So that first clip of understanding space is huge for them in their yak. I think the second one, which is that goal line fade essentially, that's going to be the biggest challenge between him and Patrick, in my opinion. How comfortable Patrick gets to throwing to covered people. Because Hop doesn't get open that much in man-to-man coverage. He never really has.
That's not him.
He still catches the football. And so I think it's going to be that does Patrick get to a point of comfort of throwing, like we saw with Russell Wilson this past week, the comfort of throwing to someone who's open. And then that third one, that sail, that's a ton of what the Chiefs run. They run those 3 levels all the time. I think the point of Patrick understanding the timing of where Hop is going to get to, I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but I do think it's a good kind of add to their pass.
Has Mahomes ever had a guy like that where he just threw the ball up to him?
Travis at times, but
yeah, I mean that's a tight end. That's like more what you're used to with the bigger
and
body.
You're usually throwing against to guys
DBs.
who don't have ball skills. So to
when
speak.
I think of the veteran receivers they've brought in over time, the Jujus, the McCole, Hardman. DeAndre Hopkins is the best version of that. Like I feel like even this trade is like being a little bit understated because he's a little older and you're not sure what he has left in the tank. But he's not the catch and run guy. Right. That's Hardman. He'll fill that role. Right. He's not the deep threat. They had that in Xavier Worthy. What he comes to this offense and does is he right sizes that so those guys can play those roles, and it opens up that intermediate area that Travis Kelce typically mans up, and people are double covering him, and you expect him on third down. Well, now you have the balance of DeAndre Hopkins being there, and to your point, contested catches in the red zone. Like
red zone, I think is huge.
The special thing about DeAndre Hopkins, and when you think about chemistry, is he's had 7 1,000-yard seasons. The reason why so early on in those moments you were talking about with DeAndre is because the reason why we thought he was so great, he was doing it with every quarterback that came out there. And they weren't like blockbuster guys.
Right.
And every great receiver, every good receiver you can think of, you can always name the good quarterback that they have. DeAndre Hopkins could do it with anyone. And with Patrick Mahomes, I think you're going to see some vintage versions of him.
One interesting thing, too, we had a Tennessee game on Monday night earlier this year, and just watching him on the sideline, he's still so engaged. They don't need leadership necessarily on that team, but when you think about a guy meshing in chemistry-wise, he was trying to help Will Levis along.
Yeah, I mean,
he was doing a lot.
To get 5 catches a game.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be their possession guy, and I think the impact of the red zone is probably because that's an offense that, you know, for 2 years now hasn't been what it should be down there.
Guys, he does bring really sure hands to Kansas City. This is pretty cool when you think about what he's done. Since entering the league in 2013, Hopkins has dropped 1.6% of his targets. That's 4th best among wide receivers. That's something the Chiefs continue to need. Since the start of last season, this was a big story last year, Kansas City's wide receivers have the worst drop rate in the NFL at 6.8%.
A little difference there.